Have you ever wondered why some people just don't vibe with you? Why your conversations feel deeper, your silence heavier, your presence different? Why you crave meaning when others settle for noise? Why you feel everything too much, too fast, too deeply? Maybe it's not a flaw. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're operating on a higher frequency. Carl Jung believed that the more in touch we are with our unconscious, our true self, the more we step into alignment with something greater, a higher truth, a deeper vibration, an inner energy that doesn't scream, but it shifts everything. So how do you know if you've outgrown the noise and risen into a more awakened state of being? Let's talk about the 10 signs you're operating on a higher frequency than the world around you. Watch this till the end. And I mean really watch it, because if even a few of these signs hit home, you'll realize you're not alone. You're just evolving. Now let's dive in. Sign 1. Small talk feels exhausting. You're polite, you're kind, but there's only so many times you can fake interest in weather, celebrity gossip, or shallow drama. You crave depth, not because you're antisocial, but because your soul is done playing surface games. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important." And when you're vibrating higher, most small talk feels like static. You want to talk about purpose, healing, energy, growth, and when you don't get that, it doesn't drain your social battery, it drains your soul. Quick check-in. Do you feel this too? Comment no more small talk if you've ever sat through a conversation thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. Let's find your people in the comments. Sign 2. You pick up on people's energy instantly. They haven't said a word, but you already know what they're feeling. You sense discomfort, jealousy, anxiety, fake joy, long before others notice. And when someone lies, even politely, your body knows. That's not paranoia, that's intuition. Or as Carl Jung would say, your unconscious is picking up on archetypal signals, subtle cues, nonverbal patterns that others miss. You're tuned in to the frequency beneath the words. And yes, it makes you sensitive, but it also makes you powerful. Because once you know how to read energy, you stop falling for mass. Let's pause for a moment. Do people ever call you too sensitive or say you read too much into things? If yes, drop "I trust my vibe" in the comments. They don't get it, but we do. Sign 3. You need more alone time than most. You love people, truly, but crowds wear you out. You need silence like others need air. Not because you're cold or distant, but because your energy is refined. You feel so much, so fast, so deeply. You need space to reset. Carl Jung emphasized individuation, the journey of becoming whole. And part of that journey is solitude. When you're on a higher frequency, you don't just tolerate alone time. You need it, because the world around you moves too fast, talks too loud, and vibrates too low. Real talk, how do you recharge? In loud places or in quiet ones? Comment, "Quiet heals me." If solitude isn't loneliness for you, it's power. Sign 4. You no longer tolerate fake connections. Once you tried to please everyone, smiled when it wasn't real, stayed in conversations that felt hollow. But now you feel it in your gut when something's off. When a connection isn't mutual, when the energy feels transactional, and instead of staying, you leave. Not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity. Carl Jung taught that as we integrate our shadow, the unconscious parts of us, we stop outsourcing our self-worth. We stop begging to belong. When you're on a higher frequency, you don't settle for fake love, fake friends, or fake peace. You don't fake anything. Let's talk boundaries. Have you recently walked away from something that didn't feel right anymore? Type "I choose real" below if you've made that shift. Sign 5. You feel other people's pain deeply. You're in a room with someone in pain, and it feels like you're carrying it with them. Even if they never say a word, even if they pretend they're fine, you don't just notice suffering, you absorb it. That's not weakness. That's frequency empathy. Carl Jung would say your psyche is no longer limited to you. You've tapped into the collective unconscious, the shared emotional world beneath the surface. You feel the collective grief, the trauma, the longing, the silence behind the smiles. And yes, it's heavy, but it's also what makes your soul magnetic. Heavy energy? If you've ever needed to retreat because someone else's pain felt like your own, comment, I feel what others hide. Let's acknowledge your emotional depth. Sign 6. You're drawn to meaning, not material. Trends don't excite you. Status doesn't impress you. You care less about what someone has and more about who they are. You're not interested in flashy lives, you're interested in purposeful ones. Carl Jung believed that our inner journey was the only one that ever truly mattered. And when you're operating on a higher frequency, you start letting go of ego-driven desires. You value time, energy, soul, presence, not luxury for attention, but simplicity for alignment. You're not running toward things. You're attracting what already matches you. Let's be honest. Have material goals started to feel empty lately? Drop "I want meaning, not things" in the comments if you're craving depth over display. Sign 7. You see through manipulation instantly. Someone compliments you, but it feels off. Someone laughs, but their energy is sharp. Someone's being nice, but your gut says they want something. You're not paranoid. You're just clear. Because when you're vibrating higher, you see past the show. You hear the tone behind the words. You feel the pull behind the smile. Carl Jung said we must become aware of the shadow, in others and in ourselves. And when we do, we can't unsee it. You no longer question yourself. You trust your knowing, and manipulators? They don't like that. Have you felt this? If you've ever called someone out with just a look, and they backed off, type, "My energy sees through lies," because it really does. Sign 8. You're not triggered by everything anymore. Someone insults you, and you just smile. A petty comment rolls off. Drama circles around you, but never enters you. Not because you don't feel, but because you've learned to observe. When you're on a higher frequency, you respond with awareness, not react with ego. Carl Jung called this integration. The moment when the unconscious no longer controls you because you've made peace with it. You've done the inner work. Now you don't need to win arguments. You'd rather win peace. And sometimes silence is the loudest thing in the room. Check yourself. Has your reaction to negativity changed over the years? Comment peace over reaction if you've grown past the need to prove anything. Sign 9. You feel time differently. The world rushes, but you move intentionally. Everyone's multitasking. You focus. People chase the clock. You follow the moment. When you're vibrating higher, you become more present, more grounded, more now. Carl Jung believed the psyche lives outside of time. And when you awaken to that idea, you stop hurrying. You start aligning. You're not late. You're in rhythm. Let's reflect. Have you stopped racing time and started flowing with it? Drop "I trust divine timing" below if you're learning to slow down. Sign 10. You feel called to something bigger. You can't explain it. You just feel it. A pull, a whisper, a direction your soul wants to go. You're no longer content with survival. You want impact, purpose, service, transformation. Carl Jung would say this is the awakening of the self, the truest version of you, calling you home. And when you hear that call, you can't unhear it. You were never meant to be average. You were meant to be aligned. And now you're not chasing success. You're becoming who you were always meant to be. Final check-in. If you feel like you're being pulled towards something deeper, even if you don't have the words yet, comment, "I feel the calling." Your soul knows where it's going, and you're not alone. Final reflection. If you made it here, I want you to pause. Close your eyes, breathe, and realize this. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're just vibrating differently. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And sometimes who you truly are is too real for the room. That's okay. Keep growing, keep glowing, keep rising, because when your frequency gets higher, so does your purpose. So does your peace. So does your power. If this video helped you feel seen, don't keep it to yourself. Comment your favorite sign. Subscribe if you're on this inner journey. Like this video if you felt even one truth hit deep. And if you know someone else who's rising quietly, powerfully, and spiritually, share this with them. We're not meant to rise alone. You're not strange, you're sacred. See you in the next one.